Hello and welcome to TGIF Network. My name is Andy D7LRR and this is the ACL Sessions Part 2 continued. So let's just delve straight in if you've been following the last video. So as we're showing the different states, and I've just left some of the different states. That's going red, it's disconnected, it's trying to negotiate again. So I'm just leaving some different states of how the server is working so I can demonstrate. What you may have seen is that on the legacy connections, that when I key up legacy, you'll see that it comes up grayed out. Why is this? Well, a legacy connection, let's just clarify what a legacy connection is. We're calling it legacy connection. But a legacy connection is just when someone has not got a secure password, so it's an unsecure connection where they're just using the default password that is in their hardware, either in their PyStar or Bridge or OpenSpot, whatever. So they're just not using the password that's provided with a genuine account. So this means that basically anybody can join the network, which is good. It's what you want. Is because if someone went out to a store and bought a new hotspot, getting into the hobby, wants to connect, and in OpenSpot and PyStar, the TGIF server's in there, and they drop down, they do it, and they get on. But they don't know the website, so they don't know anything about the security setup or how it works or how to thing, but they just get into the hobby. At least they can connect into the server and they can start to enjoy this wonderful hobby. So that's just a brief insight on legacy. So for this video, anything in orange or that's grayed out we will refer to as legacy, and the other connections are a secure connection. Okay, so that's just to clarify. So that's basically what it means. Why have we got it in grey? And you click it, when I click this one, and I get like information up and a picture, handsome chap, aren't I? And we get all this, and we can click QRZ and go to QRZ and everything. The reason being is that when you sign up for TGIF and a user makes an account, then they adhere to the terms and conditions of what the talk group admins have set up, and they have to follow their rules and regulations and adhere to their licensing conditions. And because a legacy connection is allowed and going, but they haven't adhered to these terms and conditions, so really we, in the public lastheard, which is more or less linked to this, you cannot see that, a user cannot see that detail, because basically when they sign up they adhere to our conditions, and one of them is that we can display your information. Okay, so that's the main reason. But saying that, as a sits upon your talk group, you want to know who this guy is or whatever, you can still look this up. So you can click down here and you can see it. This is not public, this is only for administration purposes, which you are allowed to do. You're not going to share this information, so you can see this guy's ID, call sign, what hardware is running. You get part of the IP, so you can sort of like look what sort of country and region it's from. The rest is masked for security purposes, obviously, and data protection. And you could look them up on the QRZ, so you've got a rough idea of who this person can be. But you'll also notice at the bottom, you've got these little icons. So let's just go on another one. Let's go on a secure connection one. So what are these buttons at the bottom? And what's this ALC button here? That's what people will be wondering. Well, this one here, you hover over and it said it's a ban, and this one's a mute, and this one's a ban. Okay, what's the difference? Okay, a mute is exactly what it does. So let's say, for instance, on this secure connection, or even on a legacy connection, so somebody comes in and you know them, you're talking away, and all of a sudden something goes wrong. They've got a problem. So they've got another hotspot that they've been configuring while they're talking to you, something, or playing with a bridge, and all of a sudden they start looping, or something starts going wrong. Well, if you want to get rid of them real fast, then yeah, you could just hit a ban and bang, 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 ban, but that would like sort of ban them and throw them off the network altogether. But we don't want to do that. You know, that's sort of a last resort thing. So what you can do, you can press mute. So you can press mute, I've got a problem, and you can say I'm banned for 2 minutes or 15 a day, a week, or even permanently. And it doesn't matter really which one you do. 2 minutes might not be long enough for you to just reach out for them, but it may be just long enough just to stop them from transmitting. So this opens your talk group again, so it can just resume normal. or you can say, right, I'm doing it for 15 minutes, hopefully I can get an email out in 15 minutes, or I can get a message to this guy telling me he's got a problem. So we'll go for 15 minutes. Right, when we click the timer, we can either ban them by IP or by IDs. So this is where the session page comes in really useful at the bottom. So we know that this guy is using this DMR ID. Ignore the prefix at the end, but we know he's using this DMR ID. So this corresponds to this one. So if we just want to like lock this ID out of these hotspots, okay, we can just press this. So any hotspot connected with this ID, it's just going to mute them, okay? If he had more than one on and it was pinging back between this ID and that ID and causing problem, you could see, you could do them all. Or, failing that, you could just do it by IP. Now, why would you do it by IP and leave the IDs open? Well, let's just say that if you was at home and this was your IP address, but then you had another spot that was using another hotspot, sorry, with a different SSID on the end, like 03. But that's a mobile one, and that's tethered to your mobile phone. Okay, so what would happen if you ban this? If you ban by the IP here, by the ID, sorry, I'll correct myself. I'm getting a bit confused myself. By the ID, and you did it. This is going to ban everyone. Okay, so this is going to ban everyone. If I ban by IP, any IP that is connected on that one. So if you may see two IPs in here. If he's like connected on with another IP, you probably see the two IPs in here. So you can ban by IP, or you can ban by thing. And to see which IP it would be, you could actually go to the information on each individual hotspot. I'm using the same IP, obviously, but you could go on and it would show you the IP. So if the IP differed or a different thing, and this is also another good way that you can tell if somebody, you talk to a guy and they say, no, I've only got one hotspot. You can see if someone else was coming on a VPN, like pirating, especially on a legacy. Not so much a secure connection, because they aren't going to be able to do it at all. But on a legacy connection, it's just a good tool that you can have for spotting. So let's just get back, and I'm getting off the subject. So we'll get back here and we mute, and I just want to mute it by that ID. I'm not going to mute the guy's IP, and which is going to ban like everything, because this guy might think, I've got a problem, but I've got another hotspot with a different ID, and I'm going to call in on this talk group and just see what's going on. So you've enabled him to do that. So that's good. Right, so we've made that rule, but where's it gone? I can't see it. Well, up here at the top, you see you have access control. Go to access control. This is access control level. This is the ACL rules. So these are the rules. And this is what we've just done. So we've got one entry, one ID entry, one rule. It's active, it's muted, and it's for 15 minutes, and it tells you it's a mute by 15 minutes, and it tells you the date and the time that you did it. Also tells you who did it. So you as a trustee, I'm the trustee, M6LGN for test purposes. If it was one of your sysops on the channel, it would also show him his call sign. So if you ban like lots of people, or you've got things, or you've got other rules in place for any particular reason, you can see which author did them. So in other words, if it was the trustee or whatever, so you've got to track there. And it also shows you the expiration, so the expiry time and date. So we set that for 15 minutes, and it's going to tell you when it's going to expire. Okay, so that's basically explaining what they are. It's a little bit explanatory. Right, action, what's this? So this guy, you've done a 15-minute ban, and you just want to see if it's still happening. So if he's resolved it, you've reached out to him, want to see if he's resolved it. So what you can do, you can just temporarily disable that rule. So you disable that rule, we'll go back, okay, and the guy isn't muted. We'll go back again, press this button, we'll enable it, we'll go back, and we can see we've got a thing. So anything with that DMR ID, yeah, which you see there, and there, and there. So you've got the red little indicator there in the sessions. That means that it's muted, simple as that, it's muted. Okay, so we go back, we spoke to the guy, he sorted it out. You can either disable it and just leave it if you want to, or you could just delete it. These other buttons here, info, just shows you what the rule is. So it's ID 1, it's one rule of 1, you can have rule of 2 different ways. So if you banned by IP, by thing, it would put different information in there. That one just does exactly the same, it's just a toggle for that. We can probably add more features on that later on. So the guy sorted out, I haven't got an issue with him. I delete the rule, removed, and everything's back to normal. But then you get other scenarios. So we've got a guy who's jumped in and he's in breach of his licensing conditions for one reason or another, or he's been abusive on the talk group, or breaking the talk group rules, because each trustee can have their own rules as long as the users adhere to them. So he's done something which is upset other users, or he's not adhering to his license, and we just want to ban this guy. So we can do it here. We can just go here, ban, and what we're going to ban him for? Are we going to ban him for 15 minutes just to teach him a lesson, or an hour, or a day, or a week? Well, I'm going to ban this guy permanently until I spoke to him. So I'm going to ban him, and I allow this guy to come in on anything. So I'm just going to tick every box here, and I just banned him. So bang, disappeared. You know, there's nothing there. There's only this one here, but I'm not interested that the guy's trying to connect here because he's got a wrong password and he's not negotiating. And even if he did put a right password in, whatever, because we've made that rule, it would not let him in the system. Okay, so we go back here and we've got the rule, and we're saying we've got our little icon. I think it's self-explanatory with permanent ban. We've got G7L permanent ban. That's the guy you banned. The author did it in infinity, so in other words, it's a permanent ban. But we spoke to the guy, and he seems all right, but he's got a bit of a past record with us, but, you know, we're going to give him a chance, so we're just going to enable that, and we're going to go back, and lo and behold, bang, he's back in the talk group behaving. So you can keep that rule in place, so if this guy's ever you know, does it again if you want, you've just got a quick method of just going bang, and hitting the enable button, and the guy isn't able to come, or failing that, you know, everyone deserves a second chance. Let's just delete it. Okay, so that's doing it there. Okay, we also have ACL button here, which you will see as a trustee. If you was in the normal lastheard, well, let's just explain this. So as a trustee, you have this ACL and your SysOps done. This brings up more. So we've explained these two. So the quick ban, like we said with the rules, this is just the same. So we've explained what these do and how they work. Okay, and the mute's the same. But we've got this boot. What's this boot? Okay. You've got a guy and he's swearing, you just want to get rid of him real quick. So really fast. So you want to get rid of him real fast, you just press ACL on his call, you just go bang. That's it, done. Gone. Fast as that. But it's only 15 minutes, okay? So you can go here and you can do it, it's 15 minutes. But what you can do in the meantime, if you know what the guy's number is, you could do what they call a custom ban, which we will go into in another video. I think Ty KG5RKR is going to make a note on how to use this. This is quite in-depth and quite not really complex, but you can do a lot with this. So Ty is going to do a video on this. So once again, we've blocked this guy for 15 minutes. If after 15 minutes the problem's resolved or whatever, you can either disable it, listen, and then enable it if you don't want to, or you can delete the rule. If the guy ever comes back again and wants to ACL panel, you could just go ban and permanently ban him using that rule. Right, I was just going to talk about the other lastheard and how it can work in here. So if you went to the public lastheard, and this is only for your trustee and your SysOps. So you see normal lastheard here and everything else, but you'll notice in a minute, when I key up on my talk group, okay, I get the ACL button in the lastheard. Only trustees and SysOps will see this. So what this means is that you have got this information in your in your public lastheard, you will see this. Normal users don't see it. Trustees and SysOps do. And you'll see it's in orange, so it stands out, and this stands out. So every time someone keys on your talk group, you know, this will always stand out. So how it's keyed up. And you see this orange button. What the orange button does, that just takes you straight to your ACL panel real quick on your talk group. So all these in orange that you would see coming up, or these with the ACL buttons, these are guys in the public lastheard, but they're on your talk group. So it's just a really good feature that it just gives you, that you don't have to be monitoring your ACL panel all the time to see who's on your talk group. If you want to look who's on other talk groups or what's going on the TGIF network in general, who's on what talk group, you can just monitor your main lastheard page. Like I say, you can just literally jump back into your ACL panel at any time, and that's it. So a bit of a long video this, I know, but we've sort of covered most aspects of this bit, including the sessions and also a little bit on the lastheard. As normal, any questions, you can always check out frequently asked questions here, go to our forums, good media, or you could join our Discord server. Just download Discord, register and press this button, join the server. Failing that, in the last video I got the email wrong. You can send to our ticket system at support@tgif.network. That's support@tgif.network, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Remember guys, this network is run by volunteers, so don't expect sometimes replies may be slow, but we have a good track record up to now getting back to you quickly. Okay, please stay tuned for the next video on a little bit more on the ACL panel. Thank you.